There are counties in West Virginia, in Mississippi, in parts of Arkansas, where the median home comes with 3 bedrooms, a yard, and a mortgage payment lower than what some owners are about to pay every single month just for the privilege of owning one German station wagon. Not the whole car, just the payment. By the time we're done here, you're going to understand exactly how a car with a roof rack and cup holders ends up costing more than a house, where it hurts the worst depending on which state you live in, and what nobody standing behind that dealership counter is going to walk you through before you sign. Let's get into it. First, credit where it's due, because you can't understand why this car costs what it does until you understand what it actually is. The M5 Touring isn't just a fast wagon with a badge on it. It's a twin-turbo V8, hybrid-assisted, all-wheel drive performance car wearing a station wagon body, because BMW knows exactly who's buying it. Guys who used to own an M3 or an M5 sedan, who now have kids, or dogs, or a boat to tow, and refuse to trade performance for practicality. Combined output sits north of 700 horsepower. 0 to 60 comes in under 3.5 seconds in a car that can also swallow a week of golf clubs and a stroller in the back. That's not marketing spin. That's a genuinely rare engineering achievement, and I want to be clear about that before I start taking this car apart financially. Because what's coming next isn't a hit piece. It's one line item that's going to make you go check your own state's insurance rates before this video's even over. Somewhere between the test drive and the finance office, the story stops being about horsepower and starts being about arithmetic, and there's a tax coming up in about 90 seconds that almost no buyer sees until it's already sitting on the paperwork. Let's start with the number everyone thinks they know: sticker price. Base MSRP on the M5 Touring lands right around $122,000. And I want you to actually sit with that number for a second before I tell you what it becomes. Because base price is the smallest number you're going to hear in this entire video. The moment you start checking boxes, that number moves fast. The M driver's package, the carbon ceramic brakes, the executive package with the massaging seats and the upgraded Bowers & Wilkins sound system, the 21-inch forged wheels. None of these are outrageous individually, but they stack, and on cars like this, dealers know buyers rarely walk out at base spec. A realistically optioned M5 Touring, the kind most buyers actually drive off the lot in, lands somewhere between $138,000 and $148,000 before a single tax or fee gets added. And that's before I tell you about the tax that's specifically designed to punish a car like this one. Because here's what almost nobody mentions at the dealership. Depending on EPA fuel economy figures, a car in this performance bracket can trigger a gas guzzler tax, an additional federal charge that has nothing to do with your state, your credit score, or your negotiating skill. It exists purely because the EPA rated the car's combined fuel economy low enough to qualify. That's real money, added on top of a price that was already 6 figures. And it's the kind of line item most buyers don't discover until they're staring at the finance paperwork, wondering why the number went up again. And that's the small tax. The big one depends entirely on your zip code, because in some states, 1 year of insuring this car costs more than a decent used car outright. If you're financing this car, and most buyers at this price point are, even wealthy ones, because that's how modern car finance works, you're not paying cash, you're paying interest. At a realistic rate for a loan this size in today's market, somewhere in the 7 to 8% range for well-qualified buyers, on a $140,000 loan over 72 months, you are looking at a monthly payment north of $2,400, before insurance, before fuel, before a single oil change. And I haven't even told you what insurance looks like yet in the states where this car is genuinely brutal to own. If you're finding this kind of real numbers breakdown useful, hit subscribe. We cover the true cost of ownership on performance cars like this every week. The numbers the dealership never puts in front of you until you're already signing. Insurance on a car in this performance and price bracket isn't like insuring a Camry, and it isn't flat across the country either. In a state like Michigan, which has historically carried some of the highest auto insurance rates in the nation, or Louisiana, or Florida with its litigation environment, a high-performance, 6-figure European wagon with a top speed north of 155 miles an hour can realistically run $6,000 to $9,000 a year in full coverage, sometimes higher depending on your driving record and your specific coverage limits. That's not a scare number. That's a real range insurance agents quote on cars in this exact horsepower and value bracket. And that's the good version of this story. Because once we stack that number on top of the loan payment, what you're paying monthly is about to make a $165,000 house look cheap. In a lower-cost insurance state like Ohio or Iowa, you might land closer to $3,500 to $5,000. And even in the cheapest states for this car, insurance alone still costs more than plenty of people's entire mortgage payment. And we haven't even stacked it against the loan yet. Now stack the loan payment and the insurance together, and you're already at roughly $2,800 to $3,200 a month, conservatively, before you've bought a gallon of premium fuel or rotated a single tire. And I want you to hold on to that number, because we're about to compare it to something that's going to make it land differently. The median home price in West Virginia sits right around $155,000 to $165,000, depending on the county. In Mississippi, you're looking at a similar range, often under $180,000. In parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma, you can find solid 3- and 4-bedroom homes well under $200,000. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. Take a 30-year mortgage on a $165,000 home at a reasonable current rate, and your monthly principal and interest payment lands somewhere around $1,100 to $1,300 a month. That means the M5 Touring's loan payment alone, before insurance, before gas, before maintenance, is running roughly double what a mortgage costs on an actual house in some of these states. And when you add insurance on top of that, in the higher-cost insurance states specifically, the gap stops being close and starts being almost comedic. You could be making a car payment larger than a mortgage, on a car worth less than the house, depreciating faster than the house, for the rest of your ownership. And that's before you find out this thing might be losing value faster than almost anything else in BMW's entire lineup. And depreciation is where this gets genuinely painful. Because M cars have a very specific, well-documented reputation, and it's not a flattering one when it comes to resale. High-performance BMWs, historically, have depreciated harder and faster than their luxury counterparts from Mercedes or Audi in the same price bracket. A lot of that comes down to limited demand for a six-figure performance wagon in a market that mostly wants SUVs, combined with maintenance reputation, combined with the simple fact that the buyer pool for a used $140,000 station wagon is small. But depreciation isn't even the number that should worry you most. Industry depreciation data on M5s specifically has shown first-year drops in the 20 to 25% range, and by year 3, cars in this family have historically lost 45 to 50% of their original value. Run that math on a $145,000 out-the-door car, and by year 3, you could be sitting on a vehicle worth somewhere around $75,000 while you're still making payments calculated against the original $145,000 loan balance. That's not a hypothetical. That's the exact trap that catches buyers who finance high-performance cars over long terms. You end up owing more than the car is worth for a meaningful chunk of the loan. And depreciation isn't even the scariest part of long-term ownership. Maintenance is. This is a twin-turbo V8 with a hybrid system, all-wheel drive, adaptive suspension, carbon ceramic brakes if you option them, and a transmission built to handle 700-plus horsepower. None of that is cheap to service once the factory warranty runs out, typically at 4 years or 50,000 miles. Brake jobs on cars with carbon ceramic rotors can run into the multiple thousands per axle when the time comes. A set of the specific high-performance tires this car requires, tires that actually let it put that power down safely, can run $1,500 to $2,000 for a full set, and depending on how the car is driven, some owners are replacing tires every 10,000 to 15,000 miles. Add in the reality that a car making this much power through a hybrid system creates genuinely complex electronics, and a single check engine diagnosis at an independent European specialist, let alone a dealership, can run into 4 figures before a single part gets ordered. And once you add tires, brakes, fuel, and repairs to everything you've already heard, the 5-year total is going to make that sticker price look like a rounding error. So let's actually add this up over 5 years of ownership, because that's where the real total cost of ownership lives, not just the sticker price. Financing at roughly $2,400 a month comes out to about $144,000 over 5 years. Insurance in a high-cost state, averaged over that period, adds another $35,000 to $45,000. Fuel, for a car that requires premium and doesn't sip it gently, realistically adds another $12,000 to $15,000 over 5 years of normal driving. Maintenance, tires, and the inevitable out-of-warranty repair or two, conservatively, another $15,000 to $20,000. Add it together, and you are somewhere in the range of $215,000 to $225,000 total cost over 5 years of ownership, for a car that will likely be worth somewhere between $55,000 and $65,000 at the end of that stretch. Compare that to a $165,000 house in one of these lower-cost states, where over that same 5 years you'd have paid roughly $66,000 in mortgage payments, built real equity, and still own an appreciating asset at the end of it, not a depreciating one. That's the actual comparison, not the sticker price sitting on the window. The real, lived, 5-year math. Now, I'm not standing here telling you not to buy this car. If you can genuinely afford it, if it's not stretching you thin, if you understand exactly what you're signing up for, the M5 Touring is one of the most complete performance cars on the planet, and there's a real argument that driving something this good, for the years you get to enjoy it, is worth every dollar to the right buyer. What I am telling you is this: walk in with your eyes open. Know your actual insurance quote before you sign, not after. Consider a shorter loan term even if the payment stings more up front, because stretching a depreciating asset over 72 or 84 months is how people end up upside down. Budget for tires and brakes like they're coming, because they are. And understand that the number on the sticker is the smallest number in this entire story. Because at the end of the day, the M5 Touring isn't expensive because BMW is greedy. It's expensive because it's genuinely mechanically extraordinary, and extraordinary machines have always demanded a level of financial discipline most buyers underestimate until the bills start arriving. In some states, that discipline means understanding you're choosing between a driveway toy and a house, and now you know exactly what that choice actually costs. If this kind of honest, numbers-first breakdown is useful to you, subscribe. We run these true cost of ownership breakdowns on performance and luxury cars every week, the math the dealership hopes you never do.